All right, welcome back, everyone.
I'm back.
It's another Travel Tuesday and another session of the Travel FOMO Fighters.
All right, so grab your coffee, grab your tea,
Grab your
whatever.
mic if you're Argentinian.
We're just going to be chatting for, like 15 minutes about something that's going to give you a lot of value in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Last week we were talking about flights, when it's better to book your domestic flights, your international flights. But today we're going to go a little deeper into some hacks.
Flight hacking.
Yes.
So,
which has nothing to do with coding, nothing to do with...
It's not going to be like, the whole complex system of using points. This is basically just for beginners. Like, we want to make this super easy for you guys.
Yes.
And of course, we can go into more detail in it in other sessions, but we really just want to make it as simple as possible so that pretty much everyone can get started on flight hacking in their own small way.
Yeah, and as a side note, both for this session and every session moving forward, the goal of us going live, we could record this as a long form video and just upload it to YouTube and edit, which the recording will be then uploaded. But the goal of going live is, in case you guys have any questions about the topic and you want to talk to us and you want to ask us live in the chat, that we can respond. And let's say we're talking about flight hacking, but you know a hack that we didn't mention, or you didn't fully understand something we were talking, one of the specific hacks, and you have a question like how would it work in your country or in certain scenarios, feel free to drop it in the chat. The goal of going live is to chat with you.
Exactly. So yeah.
Let's get to it.
Let's get started.
Flight hacks.
All right. So last week we talked a little bit about price alerts. Price alerts are our first and foremost option for basically making things a little bit easier.
Yes.
And like, price alerts aren't a massive flight hacking strategy, but it's the first step that you can take where you can just say, hey, I really want to go this weekend to this place. And then you put a price alert, and then you'll start getting emails, and then you'll know when that price goes down, which is super helpful.
Yes.
And that's basically your first step.
Yeah, price alerts also work a lot better if you have a little bit of flexibility. And remember, flexibility is not going anywhere anytime for any money. But it could mean instead of leaving on a Friday, you might be able to leave on a Thursday, or instead of leaving at 10 a.m., you can leave in the flight at 6 a.m. Those little tweaks with the price alerts combined can make a huge difference. They can make you save 10, 20, 30% on your flight. Disclaimer, not every time it happens, but it does happen a lot. So it's important for you to know that it is a possibility. So that's the number one. Now, we're not going to go very deep into it because we talked about it last week.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also check our last video where we talk about price alerts and why they're good and how they can help you.
So what's the flight hack number 2?
Okay, number 2 I love, and it's because actually I knew what it was before I even knew it was a thing. Like, before I officially knew the term for it, I had noticed it because it was a few years ago. It was actually right before COVID, and I was going to book the flight, and then COVID happened, and obviously didn't book the flight, but we started looking up flights. We wanted to go somewhere in Asia, and so I basically used Skyscanner like we talked about 2 episodes ago with our little flight hacks, and I was looking up basically New York to everywhere. And I found this flight that was $140, I think. It was $100. Oh my God, it was $100. It was $100, and I remember I was freaking out. And it had a layover in Istanbul. And I'm like, what the hell? We can go to Istanbul for $100? Like, we could just get off the plane on the layover. Like, we don't have to go all the way to the final destination. So then I started planning this whole trip around Turkey, and I was like, we're just going to get off the plane. This is a genius hack, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's called skip lagging, which has since then become a much more widely known term. And maybe it existed then and I just didn't know, and I just thought that I had found this amazing hack on my own.
Yeah, to the point where there's a website called Skip Lagged that they're not working with us at the moment.
Please sponsor this.
Please sponsor the next video or any videos. But it's like a Skyscanner, but for skip lagging. Skip lagging, remember, is when you take a flight that has a layover, but you get off in the layover and you don't hop on the second leg. Because sometimes, ironically, taking a longer flight with a layover might be cheaper than taking a direct flight. And you might think, okay, if I want to go from New York to Istanbul, how is it cheaper to book a flight from New York to Vietnam with a layover in Istanbul.
So it's crazy, and the logic is just like, we're all like, what? What do you mean? How is that possible? It doesn't actually make sense to us because you're spending. It would be more time. It's an extra flight. Blah blah blah. But this happens with airlines in their hub typically. So those Istanbul layovers are usually with Turkish Airlines. So they're going there anyway. So they're gonna show their direct flight, JFK to Istanbul, for maybe $500. But maybe they'll show you a flight to another country that stops in Istanbul and it's $300.
Because the plane needs to go back to pick up those people in the lower anyway, so they might as well just profit on you going with the plane to pick up the next passengers.
Exactly.
Now, this works great, but there are a few things you need to keep in mind because these
are very important. You can't just book it.
It's high risk, high reward. Why? You cannot check a bag. Why? Because the bag always gets delivered to the final destination. So let's say again, New York to Vietnam with a layover in Istanbul. You can get off in Istanbul and then your bag will be in Vietnam. So you can only bring hand luggage.
And you can cry to the airline all you want and be like, oh, it was a mistake and blah, blah, blah. But it's going to be more of a headache than anything to try to get your luggage back. So this is 100% if you are not going to bring luggage.
Yes. Also, keep in mind, even if you don't bring, even if you bring a little carry-on, it might happen that the compartments inside the plane are full and they force you to check the bag.
That would be a nightmare. So again, it's one of those things that even if you're taking a carry-on, make sure you're not bringing one with wheels, or make sure you're not bringing one that's really on the limit of having to be put underneath.
Yeah, and try to board first as soon as you can. Usually we recommend people to board last because that gives you more flexibility with finding seating if the plane is not full. But in this case, as soon as you can get on the plane because you want to make sure that your bag gets on the plane with you and not gets checked, because otherwise you're stretching. And the last thing important about skip lagging is don't do it in a round trip flight.
You can't do it on a round trip flight.
Because if you miss one of the legs, the airline will understand that you didn't make it to the first destination, and they will cancel your return ticket without even telling you.
And this is why, in general, we touched on this a little bit last week and maybe the week before, but this is why we always recommend doing 2 one-way flights instead of a round trip. And whether you're skip lagging or not, you never want the second leg of your trip to get canceled. So God forbid something happens on your first flight, you absolutely don't want to be screwed, because it's actually happened to us before we knew this was a thing. We missed our first flight, so of course we had to pay a stupid amount of money to actually make it to our destination. But then on the way back, it didn't occur to us. And we went to check in, they were like, you don't have a flight? We're like, what do you mean? Yes, we do. We're like, no, it's been canceled. You missed your first leg. And we're like, so now we got screwed twice and had to buy last minute flights. And obviously that was a big learning moment for us. So we really hope that that doesn't happen to you.
So, flight hack number 3.
This is a pretty simple one, but it actually can make a big difference.
It's called...
Before you tell them, wait. Have you ever gone to book a flight? You see the flight price. You're like, oh my God, I just found a ticket to Paris. It's $250 from New York. Amazing. You want to book it, right? You're like, maybe I should consult with my partner first, or maybe I shouldn't just book that right away. Okay. Then you talk to them later in the day. Later you go to book and you're like, what the hell? I promise. The flight was like $250. Why is it $500 now? Yeah, well, that's not a coincidence.
The term is called dynamic pricing. And there's a very, very simple but interesting comparison, which is a flight is like a carton of milk, right? It's a product that expires. Once the plane takes off, the price of that ticket is worth 0 the same way your milk is worth nothing once it expires. So what you're trying to do is to maximize how much money you can get for that milk, aka for that flight. So what all airlines do now that they can have algorithms is, depending on the demand, depending on how close you are to the date, the price will change drastically. And so it's important for you to keep in mind that if there's a lot of people looking for the flight might be shown to them as more expensive, because the algorithm might think, oh, you're looking for multiple flights to Paris, you definitely want to go to Paris, so guess what? You're going to have to pay more because we want to maximize the profit.
It's such a manipulative, a horrible system, but we just have to play their game, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So flight hack number 3 is incognito mode.
Get rid of your
clearing
cookies.
your cookies.
Get rid of your cookies. Sorry, get rid of your cookies. Now, what does that mean? Maybe you want to explain this
Yes.
a little better.
Cookies in the internet world are basically trackers. So if you're buying something, there's like a little pixel that goes with you and it tracks back to the source so that they can know sometimes about your interests, sometimes about the demographics, information about you.
Targeting for ads,
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
And so by clearing your cookies, you're basically telling the source, in this case the airline, I'm no one, you know nothing about me. And what happens with that is every search you do while you're clearing your cookies, it's a brand new search. So they don't know that you're interested because they only know you're interested through the information they've been collecting in that cookie that tracks back to them.
And the other way that you can do it is by going into incognito mode. So those are the two options that it gives the same result, essentially. And now, this doesn't 100% guarantee that the flight's going to go down, but it will prevent the search engine from understanding that you're looking for it. So sometimes it will actually keep the price at baseline. Not that it's going to go crazy, crazy low, but at least you're not going to be taken advantage of and have these prices go up on you.
Remember, everything changes on the internet pretty much on a daily basis. And whenever someone finds a big hack, airlines need to adjust because they want to maximize the profit and you want to minimize the cost. And so these are just suggestions. Sometimes they will help you save money, but sometimes it will help you not waste extra money, right? So you might not get it for cheaper, but you make sure that you don't get it for more than it's worth.
Exactly.
So keep that in mind.
This next hack is actually to save you money. And why do I say that? Okay. Did you know that depending on where you are in the world will have a big effect on what prices are? That sounds crazy, right? So the airline is selling the same exact seat to two different people for different prices. So I just wanted to book my flight to Vietnam. My friend is in LA, I'm in Buenos Aires, and we're both looking up the exact same flights, okay? When I tell you, we have the same flight interests, like we're trying to go.
Not Buenos Aires to Vietnam and LA to Vietnam. Both people are looking LA to Vietnam.
Yes.
But she's looking from LA and Danny's looking from Buenos Aires.
Thank you. So yeah, basically we're both sitting there on the phone together. We're looking at the flights, and I'm like, okay, I found a flight for $450 one way. She's like, $450? I don't know what you're talking about. The cheapest flight that I found is like $900. Yeah, well, that's because LA is a
wealthier country.
Wealthier city. Wealthier
than
the US is
Aires,
yeah. If you're searching from expensive cities or expensive or countries that have a little bit more disposable income in general, you will get charged more. So the cheapest country the country that receives the cheapest flight prices
is
India.
So flight hack number 4, and now getting to the main topic, is using a VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network. It sounds complicated. It sounds like you need code or something. It's just an app. There are a lot of brands that we're not going to name because they haven't sponsored this video yet. But you can find a lot of VPNs. Even some browsers come with their own VPN. And basically what it does is it creates a protective layer on the identity of your computer, and you can place it. First of all, you make it private so that no one can steal your private information. But second, you can place virtually your location to another country. So by activating a VPN, you can choose as if your computer was in the US or in India or anywhere in the world. Usually, some VPNs are free and allow you to do random, and the paid ones allow you to choose whatever you want to look for. For example, if you want to open a website that's a French website, but you can only open the website if you are located in France. By using a VPN, you might get access to that.
Yeah.
And same thing with this. With a VPN, you can look for the same flight, activating your VPN as if you were in Argentina, or as if you were in the US, or as if you were in Spain. And you're probably going to get different prices for the same flight, the same day, the same route.
Exactly. That's why VPNs are probably one of the biggest flight hacking techniques that you can use. Now, that being said, if you're overwhelmed by the idea of getting a VPN, you're not interested, you don't want to deal with it at all, you actually can do a little bit of a trick that is similar to using a VPN, and that's just changing the currency and changing the country manually on the airline's website. So if you say, hey, like when I'm here and I look up Aerolíneas Argentinas, it's going to show you're in Argentina. Now, let's say I want to pretend like I'm coming from Mexico. I would go ahead and I would change it to Mexican peso, and I would put that I'm coming from Mexico.
Exactly.
So then you can compare the exchange rates, because also there are different taxes for flights when you're going out of Argentina and when you're going out of Mexico, for example.
Exactly. And actually, first of all, we want to say hi to Luli Perry, which she left a comment in the chat. And also Shanina from Argentina left a comment asking exactly about that the price difference also changes based on the taxes in each country.
Absolutely. And Argentina has big taxes. So looking from a different country will help Argentinians actually, even if they want to pay in pesos. In certain circumstances, you have to obviously check the exchange rate, and you want to be using a credit card that allows you to use foreign transactions. So if you're using something that will charge you a lot for doing things in other currencies, then don't do that. But for example, my credit card in the US allows me to have no foreign transaction fees, and that's why it helps me to do everything in other currencies.
Just to give you the reference, in Argentina, when you book a flight, the tax might cost even over 100% of the fare. Meaning, let's say the flight costs $100, but the taxes on that might be $120. So the total is $220. So you spend $220 for a flight worth $100, just because the taxes in Argentina are so big that sometimes even exceed the price of the fare, which is wild. And that's why sometimes it's complicated to catch some flights from Argentina.
But what you can do is basically just pull open 2 tabs, both incognito tabs, check from 2 different countries, do the calculation, and you can see that sometimes there is quite a bit of a difference between using one or the other.
Yes.
So there you have it. Those are our main flight hacks.
We have one more, and I'm going to let Danny take over with this one because it's a very interesting one.
Which one?
Number 5. Number 5 has nothing to do with us and a lot to do with fat fingers. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes airlines or operators in the airlines might make a mistake and might type an extra zero
yes,
or one
this is
less
such a
zero.
bonus.
Yes.
This is a really big bonus hack, and they're called error fares. Basically, exactly what they sound like. There are actually certain websites that have been built just for error fares, and that they find them right away. And if you subscribe to their newsletters, then they'll send them to your inbox. So you can find these like crazy deals, and sometimes it's in economy, sometimes it's in business, but regardless, you'll get them straight to your inbox, and maybe you'll see something where it's like, oh, we're having a special where it's $450 round trip to Vietnam from New York. And I'm like, oh, I'm going.
Or $200 for a first class ticket.
How? How's it possible?
Exactly. It's just an error. But the good thing in the legal way is if they make a mistake with the price and you book at the price, they do have to honor the price. There's no adjustment later. So if you happen to catch one of those and you book it and it looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true, but
if they don't catch it, then you're good.
Exactly. Once you have paid, once they've taken your money, it's a full transaction and they cannot take it back. Maybe they'll message you and they say, we'll give you a voucher, but no.
But this is also why you always have to book in credit cards too, not debit cards. Because credit cards, they process faster, and then you're a little bit more secure with any kind of transaction that you're doing.
Yes.
And as one more bonus, this is basically just so you don't get screwed over. Sometimes there are third parties that will call you after you've made your transaction and say that the flight price has gone up. These are scams.
Yes.
So never, ever, ever do this. And if this happens to you, cancel your ticket and just go find something else. We'll dive into that another day. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah, but just so you know, on any, there's no chance that a legal agency or a legal airline can call you after you book your flight and tell you the flight price went up, you need to pay more. That is not something you should never be okay with. The moment that happens, get rid of the flight because the flight was never yours to begin with. They're just trying to take more money from you.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was it for today for travel hacks when you're trying to book a flight.
So you've had 3 episodes all about flights. We hope that you're able to start finding amazing flight deals. And then next week, we are going to start talking about finding your accommodation, because that is the next step to building your trip. The first two things that you want to secure are your flights, and then second, your accommodation.
Yes.
So we're going to show you how we find really cool accommodation options, how we find more affordable accommodation options, and all things accommodation.
100%. So we hope we deliver enough value for you today. It's always fun to be in these sessions with you. We want to thank everyone who was involved in the chat today, and we want to encourage you, if you're watching this as a replay, next time, join us live. It's every Tuesday at noon Eastern time. We're going to be talking about different things and different ways that you can become a better traveler, avoid FOMO while traveling, save money, and just be able
Have
to
more
travel
fun.
more. Yeah, we would love to hear your questions and help you live. We're also on social media. You can find us on Instagram, on Pinterest, Facebook, X, Thread, anywhere, any social platform that you know of is at ScratcherMappa, or on our website, ScratcherMappa.com. We also have a lot of blog posts that you can learn information from. Everything is free, and everything will continue to be free. So this was Travel FOMO Fighters, and we'll see you next week. Bye.